Hey, good afternoon. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. I'm Brian Manning. I am an asylum lawyer, and my law firm, Political Asylum Lawyers, helps immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. This is the Asylum Answer Show where I'm going to answer your questions about winning asylum in the United States. So let's see what questions you have about asylum. Go ahead, leave it in the comments, whatever questions you have. What do you want to know about winning asylum in America? But hey, first, before you jump to the questions, say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. I'd love to see where you guys are at, where our community of asylum seekers and those supporting them is. We've already got folks sounding off on YouTube. We've got Rosh says, hi, Brian. We've got Pahadi Topli says, good morning, sir. Hey, good morning, good morning. On TikTok, we've got a few people, B. Childens, we've got Nora, we've got Gray02, Marsha Hunter. Hello, hello. Say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Love to hear where you guys are at. And then you can leave questions in the comments. All right. Before I get to your questions, I want to address this issue. All right. The question is this: how long are you going to have to wait to get your asylum interview after you apply with USCIS? Now, listen, everyone knows that there are tons of people who have been waiting for many years, 4, 5, 10, 12 years for an asylum interview. So you may find it shocking when I tell you that actually, if you apply right now, there's a very good chance you might get your interview pretty much right away within 1 to 2 or 3 months after applying, maybe even less. We've been seeing a few weeks after application. Long, complicated backstory about how it works and why that's the case. But the bottom line is this: if you're thinking about applying for asylum and you're going to do that soon with USCIS, with the asylum office, there's a good chance you may actually have your interview right away. So you got to be ready, okay? You got to be ready to explain and tell your story and to present an outstanding packet of supporting documentation and be ready to present your case. So why is this happening? Listen, the policy of USCIS is in fact to try to schedule all interviews as soon as they can. They have this system, this framework called last in, first out, by which they basically decided a few years ago, like, look, we're going to, from this certain point in time, we're going to not really worry much about the backlog, the people that have been waiting. Instead, starting now, anyone that applies, we're going to take their application, and if we can fit them into a slot in the next few months, an open space for an interview, then we're going to do that. And they were doing that. People were getting interviews very quickly for a couple of years, or for at least a year. But then it changed, and people started to not get their interviews. And instead, they went into the backlog and wait for a long time. Why did that happen? Because a bunch of people started coming to the U.S. southern border, right? We hear about this in the news every day about asylum seekers, mainly asylum seekers, coming to the U.S. southern border, coming to the country, and many of them end up asking for asylum, right? Well, what happens is USCIS has this internal rule that says they have to prioritize dealing with those people who come to the border. What I mean by dealing with them, people that come to the border without a visa and want to seek asylum get what's called a credible fear interview, which is like a telephone interview, kind of like a mini asylum interview with an asylum officer on the phone. And it's the same asylum officers that do asylum interviews, which is what I used to be, right? I was an asylum officer with the Houston Asylum Office with USCIS. And so those asylum officers are doing both credible fear interviews with people coming to the border and normal asylum interviews, right? But they have to prioritize the credible fear interviews. So what happens is when there's a huge number of people coming to the border, it pulls officers away from the affirmative, or what we'll call normal asylum interviews, and puts them on credible fear interviews. And that's why the asylum interview backlog has grown and grown and grown and grown and grown. What? And that's why people that applied for asylum for the last few years have not been getting their interviews quickly. That changed a few months ago, such that now, for the last few months at least, most people who apply for asylum with USCIS are getting their interview really quickly. Why? Because fewer people have been coming to the southern border. Because of some new Biden administration policies, there are way fewer people coming in recent months to the border. Because of that, asylum officers have to do fewer credible fear interviews, freeing up their time to be able to do more asylum interviews. And for that reason, most people who've applied recently have been getting their interview quick. So you got to be ready. What does being ready mean? Okay, well, it means hopefully you have an asylum lawyer, right? Hopefully your asylum lawyer will do these things for you. Hopefully that hopefully they will write a legal brief for you in which they connect the dots and apply the facts of your case to the law to show the asylum officer how it is that you meet all of the asylum eligibility requirements. Most lawyers don't do that, by the way. I was shocked when I was an asylum officer to see that most lawyers didn't do really much of anything to help their client win the case. They definitely didn't write a legal brief, but they should. It can really help your case, all right? Evidence. The lawyer needs to help you get evidence and decide what evidence is going to be most useful. Some evidence can actually be damaging to your case. Oftentimes, people that don't have a good asylum lawyer will include evidence that actually is counterproductive, can actually hurt their case. So be careful with that. But if done correctly, it can be very powerful and can really help your case. All right. A declaration. You should have a declaration that you submit where you explain your case in writing. And in a 3 to 4 page document where you tell the officer everything they need to know to see that you meet the requirements for asylum. And a good asylum lawyer can and should help you with that as well. And then you got to prepare for the interview. All right. It's not enough just to show up and think, well, I've got a real case. It's true. It's serious. Bad things have happened. I'm at real risk. So as long as I just show up and sort of tell my story, I'll be fine. I should win my case. It's not how it works. The interview is hard. It's much harder than you expect. The officer does not just let you sort of sit there and and tell your story and explain yourself. Rather, they're asking question after question after question. They're constantly interrupting you. They're changing topics frequently. And the very sad truth is that many of them are anti-immigrant and they're just looking for an excuse to deny people. Okay. But listen, with the right preparation, you can go into this real interview with confidence. You can go into it ready to do a great job, ready to tell your story in an impactful, powerful way, and ready to answer the very difficult questions that you're going to get. And we do that through a mock interview, a full-scale practice interview with our clients where we go through everything they're going to experience on the day of the real interview from beginning to end. All right. Because, with that, what kind of questions you're going to get, how it feels to be in this position, what the different procedures for the day are. And all of this is going to help you to feel comfortable and confident, ready to do a great job on the day of your real asylum interview. Those are the things you should be doing to prepare for your interview. All right. All right. With that being said, I'm going to go to the questions. Actually, one more thing. Listen, if you want to talk with us about your situation, whether you've already applied or you haven't yet applied, whether your case is at the asylum office with USCIS or in immigration court, if you want to see if we might be able to help you to give yourself the best possible chance to win your asylum case, then schedule a consultation with us. Go to winasylum.com. That's the URL. That's the webpage where you can schedule this. It's winasylum.com. I'm going to put it in the chat. And that's where you can get set up with one of our asylum professionals so we can really get to understand your situation and see whether we think we're in a position to support you, to help you. And if we think that we are, we're going to tell you how. We're going to lay out for you exactly what we would do to help you increase your chances for asylum success. All right. I'm just checking to see how many spots we have open because these are filling up fast. So listen, good news. There's a couple spots left tomorrow, Tuesday, January 14th. So for the rest of this week, there's a little bit of availability. It'll probably all be gone in the next day or two. So if you want to talk with us to see if we might be able to help you, go now. Don't wait. Go now. Go to winasylum.com. WINASYLUM.com. That's winasylum.com. That's where you can schedule this consultation with one of our asylum professionals. All right. Listen, at the moment that I'm making this video, it's free. We used to charge, and to be honest with you, I think we're probably going to have to start charging again because there's so much demand. There's so many people that need help right now with asylum, especially with Trump coming back to office. We're probably going to start charging soon for these again. So if you want to get on our schedule before we start charging and get this for free, now is the time to do that. Go to winasylum.com. That's WINASYLUM.com to schedule a consultation with one of our asylum professionals. I'm going to put that in the chat right now. Consultations. winasylum.com. All right. Let's go to the questions. On YouTube, we've got Mohammed says, how long does it take USCIS to issue a green card after receiving an RFE medical exam, asylum based? Mohammed, it shouldn't take them long. It'll probably be within a month, most likely. All right, that's good news for you. Kim, good to see you. Thanks for joining out in Colorado. I appreciate you being on here on YouTube with us. Good to see you. Zanat says, good morning, sir. Greetings from New York. Nice. New York City, the greatest city in the world, as they say in Hamilton and Rent. We got R12 Mathimbu. Says, hi, Brian. I'm tuning in from San Francisco. I was in San Francisco just a couple of days ago, just flying through a few hour layover there. I love San Francisco. Great city. Rosh says, do I need a sponsor for a green card with asylum? Good question. I want to address your question like this. The question is this. Do you need a sponsor if you're applying for your green card based on asylum? So listen, you may know of people who are getting their green card based on employment or based on marriage or based on some other kind of family relationship. In those kinds of cases, yeah, they require a sponsor, someone who is actually petitioning for you to be able to get your green card. Well, the good news is with asylum, it's actually not like that. With asylum, you don't have to have anyone do anything for you in terms of you getting your green card. When you've won asylum and then you're applying based on that, you don't have to have any kind of sponsor. No one has to petition for you. No one has to make any kind of guarantees about money, to be able to support you. Nothing like that. It's all just you. It's done by you, by yourself, which makes the process easier, smoother, and quicker. So that's good news. All right. Thanks for asking the question. Now let's hear from Ahmed. Says hello from Ohio. Good to see you, Ahmed. Thank you for joining. We got Leo says on YouTube says, I appreciate you a lot for all you do. Highly recommended. Thank you, Leo. Appreciate it. Married child of U.S. citizen has a pending asylum and I-130. Would the pending asylum negatively affect approval of the I-130? Let me address your question like this, okay? The question is this. Will having a green card application pending for you negatively affect your asylum claim? Let's say, for example, that you've got a family member who has petitioned for you to get a green card through that family member, right? And that case is ongoing. It's pending. Will the fact that that's going on negatively impact your asylum claim? The answer, thankfully, is no. It's not a factor either way. It neither hurts nor helps your asylum case. It's just not something that the asylum officer is going to take into account either way. So it won't hurt you or help you either way, okay? Listen, sometimes people, when someone petitions for them for a green card, they will say, oh, now that that's going on, I don't need asylum anymore. I'm gonna withdraw my asylum claim. I'm gonna stop my asylum case. Don't do that. Don't do that unless and until you have that green card based on that other case in your actual hand, okay? Because you never know what's gonna happen with that green card case, all right? You wanna keep that asylum case viable and active, okay? R12 Mathimbu says, is it true that lately interviews are done by video conference? Good question. The question is this. Are asylum interviews always done in person, or are they sometimes done by video conference or maybe even telephone? So listen, in immigration court, it's true that hearings are sometimes done by video conference. Both the so-called master calendar hearing, which is usually the first one that you have in immigration court, and the individual hearing, or the one where you actually sort of explain your case and fight your case. Sometimes those are done by video conference. Sometimes the judge dictates that, hey, it's going to be a video conference. That's all there is to it. Sometimes if it's set to be in person, you can actually ask. You can do a motion to ask the judge, hey, can we do it by video conference? And sometimes they say yes, sometimes they don't. That's the immigration court. Asylum office is actually different. No, they don't do those by video conference or telephone. Those are in person. You as the asylum applicant have to show up in person for your asylum interview with USCIS. Your attorney can participate virtually, but you, as the applicant, you got to go in person to your USCIS asylum interview. Okay? All right. Hasi Sen says, I applied a year ago for asylum on a visa. Should I expect my interview soon? All right, the question is this. If you applied for asylum a while ago, like let's say a year ago, and you're still waiting for your interview, should you expect to actually get that interview anytime soon? Probably not. No. Listen, people who are applying right now, around the time that I make this video and for the prior few months, most of them are getting their interviews very, very quickly. However, if you applied more than, let's say, 6 months ago and you haven't gotten your interview, you're in that backlog, okay? You're in that long, long queue. And to be honest with you, it's probably going to take multiple years for you to get your interview. If you reach 3 years of waiting, 3 years after having applied for asylum and you have still not gotten your interview, at that point, you should sue the government in a mandamus lawsuit. This is where you sue the government to force them to give you your asylum interview. All right. It's a powerful, powerful tool that my office uses all the time. Our clients love it because it works. All right. That's how that works. All right. We got Zanat says, hey, Brian, quick question. Is it good to have family members as live witnesses in my asylum case who were harmed along with me in immigration court? The question is this. Is it a good idea to have family members who have endured some of the same harm as you serve as a witness in your case, in your hearing in immigration court? The answer is maybe. The answer I'll say is probably. Now, listen, as your lawyer, if I were your lawyer, I mean, I would want to talk. I need to know about the specifics about your case, and I need to talk with these people to decide which, if any, I think are going to be helpful in helping us to show the judge things we want the judge to know about, and to present the case that we want to present. Because listen, when you bring more people in to testify, there is room for inconsistencies or inaccuracies or things that you say that don't line up exactly with what they say. And that can be bad for your case. So it's a little bit tricky. There are benefits to be had, but we would just need to decide in the context of a representation whether we think that the benefits outweigh the risks of having this person testify in your court case. Okay. All right. We've got Leonardo says, hello, Brian. I did a consultation with your team long ago, but I'm still financially preparing for the service. When I'm ready, should I do a second consultation or just email your colleague? Leonardo, thanks for doing the consultation and thanks for commenting. Just, send us an email. Send an email to info@politicalasylummlawyers.com, and we'll then look back at the notes from your consultation, and if we have follow-up questions or if we think that we need to talk again, then we'll let you know that. We might be able to just say, great, here's a refreshed contract, let's do it. So send an email when you're ready, okay? We got Badru, my unpaid spokesperson. Badru is a former client who is often on here on YouTube saying good things about us. So I appreciate you, Badru. He says, I can't thank you enough, Mr. Brian, for the help you did with my case. I was even able to fly out last month for vacation and back safely in the USA. I'm living freely now. Thank you. I just got chills, Badru. Because this issue, thank you for saying that, Badru. And by the way, Badru has many times given me permission to, or announced it and said that he is one of our clients. So I'm not betraying anything or revealing anything that he doesn't want me to reveal. Badru, was a client of ours who was waiting for their interview for a long time, and he got tired of waiting and he sued the government in a mandamus lawsuit, an asylum delay lawsuit. It worked. He got his interview and he won his case. And now what he's saying is, look, he was able to fly out of the country last month for vacation and get back into the U.S. with no problems. So listen, this brings up a question, and the question is this: after you win asylum, can you leave the country and come back in freely? After you win, you want to apply for what is called a refugee travel document. This is basically like a passport. It's a thing that looks like a passport that you get after you win asylum, after you apply for this refugee travel document, and it allows you to leave and come back into the country uh, without problem. You can use it even for vacation. It doesn't have to be like an emergency or something. You can just go on vacation to Mexico, to Canada, to anywhere. Listen, you shouldn't go back to your home country, the country from which you got asylum. But you can go to a neighboring country and meet up with friends there. And listen, this is a major benefit of winning asylum, this ability to travel freely and have, a sort of a free life, right? That you don't have unless and until you win asylum. So that's another reason to push your case forward as fast as you can, including through an asylum delay lawsuit. Okay? Just like Badru did. That's what Badru did. Badru was sick of waiting. He sued the government, got his interview, won his case, and now he's able to travel internationally on vacation and come back and not worry about it. And he's in queue to get a green card through asylum. Okay? Is there any difference in terms of chance to be granted asylum between being gay or bisexual? Good question, says nobody on YouTube. That's a good question. Question is this. Is there a difference in terms of the approval rates for asylum cases for people who are applying on the basis of being gay or homosexual versus bisexual? Listen, I think... First of all, I don't know, statistically speaking, if there's a difference. Like, I don't think that statistic, I can almost guarantee you, is not kept anywhere. But I would say, based just on my intuition, my experience as an asylum officer, former asylum officer, and now asylum lawyer, I would guess that it's probably a little bit harder to win as a bisexual. Why? I think that there's more asylum officers who tend to be like, that doesn't sound as real. I think that there's in the public in general in the United States, there's probably more skepticism about bisexuality, and they think, oh, you really are just straight, but you're just lying to try to win asylum, and it's easier to say you're bisexual because, hey, you've already been with people of the opposite sex. So probably harder to win as a bisexual. Definitely not impossible. We've had clients who have won, bisexual clients who have won, but I think you've got to do even more probably to prove your case. All right. Good question. Behzad says, he says, thanks, Brian, for all the info. If USCIS denies the case and doesn't send it to the immigration judge, can I take it to court myself? Good question. The question is this. Let's say USCIS denies your asylum case. I'm not talking about a referral where they send you to court, but rather an actual denial, what they call a final denial, which is when people have lawful immigration status and USCIS denies you. They don't put you in deportation proceedings. They don't send you to court. Rather, they just say, denied, case over. When that happens, sometimes people want another chance. They want to keep pursuing their case. And having your case heard in immigration court is kind of like an appeal. It's another chance to win asylum. So the question is, if USCIS gives you a final denial, can you put yourself in immigration court proceedings? Can you put yourself in court and have a chance to explain your case in court in deportation proceedings at your own election? And the answer is no. You can't do that. There's no mechanism by which you can put yourself in deportation proceedings, apart from like purposefully maybe committing a crime. But I don't recommend that. All right. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Listen, this sort of begs a follow-up question, and that follow-up question, the question is this: if you get a final denial from USCIS, what options do you have? Can you appeal that decision? So we're talking here about a case where USCIS has denied your case, not referred it to court, but rather denied it because you had immigration status and they made a negative decision. They said, case denied, it's over. There's no formal appeal mechanism. However, you can request that the asylum office look at it again. You can ask that the director of the asylum office reconsider the case through what's called a motion to reconsider if you think that the officer in your case made a true error of law, like they just did not follow the law in applying the facts of your case to the law and reaching a decision. It's super rare to do this. We will do this on behalf of people very rarely, if only when we think like, look, this is like absolutely clear error of law on the asylum officer's part. And even then it rarely works, unfortunately. So yeah, it's tough. Okay. Yelena Ong says, I'd like to ask you about my asylum case, which has been pending since 2020, March. It's with the San Francisco Asylum Office. What's your question? Yalen, yeah, do you have a question you want to ask here? If you want to really talk about it in detail, then go to winasylum.com. That's where you can schedule a consultation with one of our asylum professionals, winasylum.com. At the moment, those are free. I think we're probably going to start charging for them. Honestly, maybe in the coming days, we might flip that switch and start charging for them again. Right now, though, with my colleagues, they're free. If you want to talk with me personally, there's a charge for that, including right now. It's $350. I think that's going to go up to $450 probably in the coming days. But if you want to talk with me personally, you can do that. Both that and the free consultation with my colleagues can be scheduled at the website winasylum.com. 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 So now it says, does having a declaration from my friend in my native country that the police and other government agencies were looking for me and then beaten my friend help to build a fear of future persecution? So thanks for the question. I'm sorry to hear about that. The question is this. Well, having a letter, like a witness statement from someone in your home country who knows details and facts about your case, can that help you win asylum? Yeah, for sure. Listen, when we're working with a client to develop their case, we're going to ask a bunch of questions about the case in written format. And when we get the answers to that, we're going to make a list of all the different things we want you to get. We're going to say, okay, get A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. And it might be like, yes, a witness letter from someone who saw this particular event, or someone that you told about this thing, or someone that, knows about this condition. Anything that helps to show the asylum officer or the judge that you meet the asylum eligibility requirements can be helpful. But these witness letters need to be done thoughtfully and carefully, or else they can be not useful, or worse still, they can be counterproductive and actually hurt your case. So you got to be careful. You really should work with an asylum lawyer in getting this done. Okay? All right. So Ong Naing Hafizur Rahman, sorry for mispronouncing that. So I'm from Burma and my asylum application is pending. Can I apply for travel documents to go to Thailand and meet my family members who are refugees there? How long does it take? So the question is this. If your asylum case is pending with USCIS and you want to travel abroad, can you do that? And if so, how? So the answer is, yeah, you can apply for something called advance parole, which is a document that, when it's granted, allows you to travel and get back into the United States with very low risk of having any kind of problems when you try to come back in. There's always a little bit of risk, even if you have this document. But with this document, I think the chances for problems are low enough that if I were an asylum seeker and I really needed to go abroad or really wanted to see my family in a third country, then yeah, I think it's something that's a reasonable risk to take, and I would do it. You can go to a third country. You should not go back to your own country, but you can meet your family and friends or whatever in a neighboring country. Yeah, that's fine. Processing times vary for getting this approved. This advanced parole document. It's probably going to be over a year, but sometimes they'll expedite if you show them kind of emergency or important circumstances. Okay. Nidar says, my case was denied based on respondent credible. What does it mean from IJ? Good question. So I think this is what you're trying to say. And the question is this. What does it mean if your asylum case is denied because the asylum officer or the judge said that you're not credible? Listen, this is a very, very common excuse or reason or justification, not excuse, that judges and officers use to deny a case when they don't have good grounds to deny it otherwise, but they would just want to deny it because they're anti-immigrant or they don't like the person. They'll say you were not credible. Your testimony was not credible. Therefore, you haven't met the requirements for asylum. And usually this is done through inconsistencies where there's inconsistent statements that are made, things that you say don't line up exactly. Like you say, oh, the incident happened on X date. And then later in the interview or hearing you say, oh, it happened on Y date. That's an inconsistency. And officers and judges like to pick apart your testimony, pick apart your case and try to actually make you mess up and commit errors So they'll have an excuse to deny you. So when they say you're denied because you were found not credible, it means they think you're lying, or at least that's what they're alleging. Okay. At the end of the day, that's what it means. Is like they think you're lying, and therefore they are denying you. That's what if your letter from the judge or the asylum officer says you were denied because you were found not credible, that's what it means. Nice. Ahmed says, your law firm helped my friend with his asylum case, and it took him like 7 months to be approved. Nice, Ahmed. That's cool. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, 7 months from start to finish. I don't know who it was, but I didn't say the name. But not bad considering that many people have been waiting 5 years, 10 years. Bexad says, does having a prior 485 denial affect asylum case outcome? Will the officer rely on the prior green card application decision and reject asylum without giving it another look? Good question. So the question is this. Will a prior immigration denial negatively affect your asylum claim? So let's say, for example, that you applied for a green card. You did the form I-485, right? The green card application, and it got denied. Well, is that going to negatively impact your asylum case now? The answer is it can. Yeah, it can. It's not automatic. It's not like, oh, because you were denied a green card, you're automatically denied asylum. No. But the asylum officer is going to have access to those records, and they are going to look at it, and they're going to look at the reasoning for the denial. And if those are reasons that should keep someone from getting asylum, then yeah, it's relevant. Or if, for example, if they concluded that it was a sham marriage, a false marriage that you were trying to get a green card based off of, and that's why they denied you, well, yeah, that speaks to your credibility. So you may have to answer questions about it at your asylum interview. So they're not going to deny you outright because of it, but yeah, they're going to ask you probably about it. So you got to be ready. Okay. Yeli Nong says, I'd like to know, what should I wait? The counting time exactly 5 years. I'll be 5 years exactly in March 2025. I'm thinking about a mandamus lawsuit in 3 months. Yaelin, did you say you're San Francisco? Was that you that said that earlier? Let's see. Yeah, you did. Okay. So the question is this. How long do you need to wait before you file an asylum delay lawsuit, the famous mandamus lawsuit, in order to have a good chance for success in getting your interview scheduled thanks to this asylum delay lawsuit? Listen, we've been having success everywhere in the country except Los Angeles at 3 years. 3 years waiting. There's a lot of lawyers out there who will tell you, oh, you got to wait 5 years. You got to wait 6 years, 7 years. We're doing it at 3 years everywhere except Los Angeles. So including, the New York Asylum Office, Houston, San Francisco, 3 years. We're having success at 3 years. Los Angeles, yeah, we're doing 5. Los Angeles is pushing back on less than 5 year waits. So we are only taking cases for suing the government for Los Angeles when they've been waiting 5 years. Everywhere else in the country, we're doing 3. We think you have a good chance for success at 3, and we've been having success at 3. So we should talk about that. Go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. Go now. All right. Schedule that consultation. We want to talk. We want to see what's going on. We're going to get to know you. We're going to get to understand your objectives, your priorities, your goals, and understand your case. All right. And see if we think we can help you. And if so, we're going to tell you how we're going to help you. We're going to lay out for you the actual concrete steps that we're going to take to give you the best possible chance to win your asylum case. All right. Okay, nice. Lots of questions over here. Mohit says, I've been waiting for my interview from last 2 years. It's going to be 3 years in July. What should I do? Yeah, Mohit, if your case is pending anywhere other than the Los Angeles Asylum Office, I think that right before you get to 3 years, you should hire an asylum lawyer and sue the government in an asylum delay lawsuit. All right. You're welcome, Leonardo. Alireza Garib says, how will personnel changes in the Trump administration affect a mandamus lawsuit? That's a good question, an important one. The question is this. Is the change in administration, in other words, the new Trump administration, going to change the way that these asylum delay lawsuits work? Listen, this asylum delay lawsuit, we often call it mandamus lawsuits, where we're suing the government to force USCIS to give you your interview and your decision, and to do it quickly. All right. When they've been taking multiple years, you've been waiting for multiple years. It's a powerful tool. It works. Our clients love it. But the question is, look, with Trump, is it going to change? Because we've been having great success. We haven't lost one yet, actually. Past performance does not guarantee future results, but we haven't lost one of these cases yet. We've filed a bunch in the last year and a half. Is it going to change with Trump? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think they're going to fight back more. I don't think we're going to lose more. It's just not one of those things that they have a lot of power to really deal with differently. So I think we're good, even with Trump. All right, with the mandamus lawsuits. It's good news because it's a beautiful thing. Our clients love it because it works. Jillian says, I'm Jamaican. I have my case coming up. Do you think I'll win? I need to know what your case is about. What's happened? Why you're afraid of going back? It's impossible to tell you, oh, just because you're from this country that, yeah, I think you have a good chance, or no, you don't have a good chance. It's just not how it works. All right. I need to know, Jillian, all about your case, all about you and all about your case. And if you want us to really give you an assessment like that of whether we think you have a good chance, we would do that in the context of an asylum strategy session. That's what we call our consultations. And right now, at the moment that I'm making this video, those are free. Again, I think we're about to start charging for those. At this moment, they're free. So if you go literally right now to winasylum.com, you can schedule for free. WINASYLUM.com, winasylum.com, and schedule that consultation right now. All right. What's the approval? Osiris says, what's the approval rate in Minnesota? I don't remember exactly, what it is off the top of my head, but it's pretty high. It's higher definitely than like in the south of the United States, where I am in Texas or like Florida. It's higher in Minnesota. That's good. All right. Freedom says, Brian, how does USCIS prove 1 year of residency for a green card application filed less than a year? Good question. Question is this. How do you show USCIS that you've been physically present in the United States for 1 year after your grant of asylum for purposes of getting your green card based on asylum if you actually apply for that green card less than 1 year after winning asylum? So look, you can apply for your green card at any moment after winning asylum. You can apply the next day. But to actually grant the green card, USCIS has to see that you've been physically present in the United States for 1 year after winning your green card. So how does that work? How can you apply for it before you've even met the qualification of being physically present here for a year after winning asylum? Well, the idea with applying early, applying before 1 year, is that you get in the queue. And getting in that queue puts you in line for them to eventually, probably after a year, actually pick up your application and look at it. At that time, if they see, oh, you don't have the physical presence because you applied before 1 year, they send you a request for evidence where you send in new evidence that shows, yeah, I've actually been here, and you win your green card. Okay? That's how it works. I'm going to address this question from me here, who says, is immigration judge anyway under the influence of any presidential administration? Good question. The question is this. Does the administration in the White House affect asylum decisions? Like, are immigration judges and asylum officers impacted by who the president is and what that president's policies are with regard to immigration? And the answer is yes, there's an impact. First of all, the president can have their administration change actual policies that make it harder to get asylum. Trump did this last time. Biden undid a lot of what Trump did, but Trump is going to redo it and more. But also just in terms of the anti-immigrant atmosphere that Trump is bringing with him will influence judges and asylum officers. It will embolden, empower a lot of them who are already anti-immigrant to go even further in ridiculous denials. So the bottom line is, yeah, we're going to see more denials under Trump. It's more important than ever to present the strongest case possible. It's not going to be impossible to win. It's going to be harder. You got to do even better. You got to work even harder to craft a compelling case and to be really, really ready to present that strong case. All right. All right. Yelin says, Brian, I've already spent more than $6,000 for my current lawyer who's not attending my calls since last year, July. I'm sorry to hear that, Yelin. It says, I've been watching your videos for a year. I'm interested to hand over my case. If you can help, how can you help paperwork for my current lawyer to whom I'm unable to reach him for 6 months? Wow, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, if you can't be in contact with your lawyer in their office, that's a problem. You need to be able to be in contact with your lawyer's office, okay? So the question, look, is this. How does it work if you want to switch from one lawyer to another in terms of the paperwork and dealing with the asylum office? Well, listen, it's easy. You just hire the new lawyer. And if you come to us, a lot of people do this, right? A lot of people have another lawyer and they decide that they want to work with us because they think that we'll give them the best possible chance of winning their asylum case and securing their future in America through asylum. When they hire us, we always do what's called a Freedom of Information Act request, where we get a copy from the government of everything that your old lawyer submitted to the government and everything the government has ever sent out in terms of letters and stuff in your case. So we're going to get all that from the government. All right. And you just tell the old lawyer, hey, I've decided to go in a different direction. I no longer need your help. We're done. That's it. And then we file with USCIS the form that says, hey, I'm now the person's lawyer. And from that moment on, when we file that form, they deal with us and not your old lawyer. It's easy. It happens all the time that people change lawyers. Not a problem. Doesn't hurt your case at all. That's how it works. So yeah, Yelin, we should definitely talk. Go to winasylum.com. WINASYLUM.com. Okay. Very kind of you. Leonardo says, Brian, you're the best to ever do it. I appreciate those kind words. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Leonardo. Very kind of you. I appreciate it. Ahmed says, since the coming administration doesn't support transgender rights, will that affect homosexual asylum claims? Good question. The question is this. Is it going to be harder for people from the LGBTQ plus community to win asylum under the Trump administration? Look, only in the sense that there's going to be a greater anti-immigrant sentiment and atmosphere out there that, yeah, it is going to impact to some extent the asylum officers and judges. I don't, though, think that they're going to try to institute formal policies to make it harder for this class of persons to win asylum. They're going to change the interpretation of the law to make it harder for other groups to win asylum, like victims of domestic violence, but like family-based persecution. But I don't think they'll try to do that with regard to like sexual orientation or sexual identity issues. So the answer is it'll be harder for everyone to win asylum under Trump. You got to do better. You got to put together an even better case and be better prepared. But no, the LGBTQ plus community is not at particular risk. Okay, of greater denial percentages. I don't think, my opinion. Joy K says, thanks so much. I'm humbled. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for commenting. Leonardo says, can my case with USCIS take longer because of the fact that I have a valid F1 status? Good question. The question is this. Could the fact that you have valid immigration status cause your asylum case to take longer? For example, if you apply for asylum and USCIS sees, oh, this person has valid F1 immigration status, which is student status, could they sort of put your asylum application on the back burner, so to speak, or on the shelf and delay it or not give it attention quickly because they're like, oh, this person's okay. They have status. They have student status or they have business-based status. The answer is no. No, I've never known of that happening when I was an asylum officer. That was not something that was ever discussed. No, I think the fact that you don't, the fact that you do have status has nothing to do with the timing of when you get your interview or your decision. All right. But there's benefits of still having your status when your case gets considered. So because of that, you should consider suing. If you've been waiting multiple years, you should do an asylum delay lawsuit. Okay. To force your interview forward. Oh, Fallon Hufab says, sorry for the mispronunciation, says, I have my interview in a couple days. What can you advise me, please? I'm terrified. Don't worry. All right. Don't worry. All right. So the question is this: what can you do when your asylum interview is coming up in like a couple of days? How can you make last minute preparations? Listen, first of all, you got to study. You got to study everything that you submitted. Okay. Your application form and what you wrote on it, any declaration that you wrote, any evidence that you wrote. You need to basically memorize all that, especially your declaration, okay? Because you got to speak and testify consistently at your interview with what's in your declaration and your other materials, okay? So study your materials, all right? Practice telling your story, okay? Ideally, you have an asylum lawyer who's going to do a full-scale mock interview with you, right? But if you don't have that, practice telling your story. Have your friend or family member ask you questions about your case and you practice responding. Probably most important, go to Political Asylum Lawyers YouTube channel. On YouTube, search Political Asylum Lawyers. Look at my playlist, my asylum interview playlist. I've got tons of detailed trainings and tutorials on there all about the asylum interview that you need to watch. Okay, good luck. Try to stay calm. Listen, honesty is the best policy. Always tell the truth. Never say anything that's misleading or untrue. And stay calm. Be honest and have confidence. All right. If you prepare well, you can go into your interview with confidence. All right. All right. Ali Reza says, I was granted F1 visa after being rejected once. Will that affect the asylum process? The question is this: will the fact that you were previously rejected for a U.S. visa negatively impact your asylum case with USCIS? So you're saying that, you applied for a student visa, F1 visa, and were rejected, but then you applied again and you got it and you came here and then you applied for asylum. Will that prior rejection affect your asylum case? No. The fact that you were denied or that you had to apply twice, none of that matters. It will not affect your asylum case, neither positively nor negatively. But here's the thing. The officer will ask you about those applications. And here's a trick question that they like to ask is, have you ever lied or said anything that's not true to any immigration officer of the United States? And sometimes they'll find things from the notes from your visa interview that you said that might not line up with things you're saying now. So be aware of that and answer honestly, okay? Good luck. All right. Fallon says they don't have a lawyer. If your interview's in 2 days, it's probably too late to get one now. But I wish you all the best. Next best thing is go to my YouTube channel, go to the Political Asylum Lawyers channel on YouTube and watch all my tutorials and trainings about the asylum interview. Okay. Siam says basically what to expect at the master hearing, and does the lawyer do all the work by themselves, or do we need to give statements at some point in court? All right. The question is this: what happens at a master calendar hearing in immigration court? So listen, this is the first of what is usually 2 hearings, and this one's administrative mainly in nature. You don't have to be ready to really explain and fight your case. Rather, it's administrative, right? If you have a lawyer, then yes, at this hearing, the lawyer does most of the talking. You don't have to do much. Usually it's just, is this person your lawyer? Yes. Do you want them to represent you? Yes. And what is your name and address? That's usually the only questions that a judge asks you at the master calendar hearing if you have a lawyer. However, Sometimes complications arise. Sometimes surprises emerge, and you and your lawyer have to actually sort of deal with tricky issues that can actually have an impact in your case. So usually it's smooth and easy, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it gets tricky. All right. So hopefully your lawyer is explaining all this to you and preparing you for this important hearing. Good luck. All right. All right. Yay Ling said he says you signed the contract. Great with us, great, but you haven't done the initial payment yet because you like to do consulting with me. All right, yeah. I hope we can get that done and get started soon. That sounds great. Have you ever seen an asylee have their status terminated due to changed country conditions? Let's address it like this. The question is this: how likely is it that your asylum status could be terminated, taken away because of changed conditions in your country? Which is to say, if things get better or if things change in a way that you're not really any longer at risk, such that you don't really need asylum, are you going to lose your asylum status? Is the government going to come find you and say, hey, you know what? Things are better in your country, or that thing that you were afraid of is not an issue anymore because something has changed. Therefore, you don't need asylum. We're taking it away and putting you in deportation proceedings. It has happened. It's very infrequent that it happens. It's not common at all. Even if things totally change to where like you don't have a legitimate fear of being harmed anymore. I don't think you need to worry about it. Yeah, it's true. Trump could do something crazy and try to use this a lot to kick immigrants out, but I don't think it's going to happen. I wouldn't worry about it. Don't worry about it, okay? All right, that is it for today. Listen, last thing is go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com to schedule a consultation, all right? That's where you can schedule a call, an asylum strategy session with one of our asylum professionals. And right now it's free. I think in the coming days, we're probably going to start to charge for these. So if you want to take advantage of this opportunity to have a free consultation with one of our asylum professionals, go to winasylum.com. That's WINASYLUM.com and schedule that right now. All right. We help people all over the country. Listen, we're based in Texas, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter where you are. We help people all over. Lots of clients in Texas, of course, as you'd imagine, but we also have lots of clients in New York, lots in California, lots in Florida, around Chicago, Atlanta, everywhere in between, really. All right. So we help people all over the country. And if you want to give yourself the best possible chance of securing your future in America through asylum, then we should talk. Go to winasylum.com to schedule your strategy session right now. All right. Until next time, I'm Brian Manning, and it's truly a pleasure to support you and to serve you in your asylum journey. Thanks, guys. We'll be back on soon. Take care. And yeah, thanks, Masahir. Good. Idris, good to see you. Thank you. And we'll be back soon live. Until then, take care, guys. Have a good one. Bye, everyone. See you TikTok later, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn.